Jai Hind everyone. Today I Rupak Kumar from Akgec start a video lectures on Introduction to Database Management System. Basically, this is the lecture of Unit 1. Code is BCS 501 Database Management System. B.Tech 6th semester. So start with the topic that what is database. Basically, nowadays we are just collecting everything as a data. Nowadays we are just generating the data, and there must be some base where we can collect this data or store this data for future use, for enhancement of business, for enhancement of any organizations. So DBMS means database is very important, and that managing that database is basically a database management system. So here we start with the first slide that basically database is nothing but a collections of related data. Actually, every types of data is collected in a different types of base. That is what it is, basically relatively data collected. So database is basically collections of related data. So by data we mean, what do we mean? By data we mean to know the fact that can be recorded and that have implicit meaning. Means what is the data? It is that we generated the data in daily life from every aspects, everything. This is also a types of data what we are just recording or giving it, you are just listening in online. These all are the data, and we mean that known fact. It is a fact, and that can be recorded and that we have implicit meaning. Next, for example, if we consider about data, consider the name, telephone numbers and addresses of the people. That is what the data, and that what we collected. So a database, if we talk about the database, it has some following implicit properties. If we talk about the properties of database, basically database represent some aspects of the real world, and sometimes it is called a mini world. Means it's a mini world for a data where we collect a very huge amount of data, and managing that data is that very important thing, how we manage the data. So database management system is basically one of the means core branch of computer science engineering, where we study and know how we collect the data and how it is managed through the database management system, where we use different software also. Next, changes to the mini world are reflected in the database. If we change something in the data, it should be reflected in the base. That is what change reflected in a database. Next, a database is basically a logical coherent collections of data with some inherent meaning. Means there must be some meaning of that data. If we collect some data and if it is not meaningful, then it is not relevant for us or anyone. So there must be some logical, or we can say some meaningful data, that is what collected in a database. Next, if we talk about a random assortment of the data cannot correctly be referred to as a database. So a database is designed, built and populated with the data for a specific purpose. Means if you are collecting a data for students like you, so what we do, we are just collecting the data about you, that what is your marks, what is your phone number, what is your email id, what is your details of the previous semester. Now this is what us related things with students. So we can say if we design a database, if we collect the data, the database is designed and built and populated with the data for some specific purpose. What is the purpose of collecting data for you? To watch your improvement, to watch your marks, to watch your personality development and all. So these all are collected as a student data. So the purpose is to improvement of the students. Likewise, if we collect the data of the share market and all, for what we are collecting the data? Actually we are collecting these data for seeing the ups and downs of the share price, kab badhega kab ghatega. That is what watch with the help of this database management system. Next, we can say it has an intended group of users and some recommend some conceived applications in which these users are interested. Means something that is what how we generate an interest of the people. If we're recording the DBMS lectures, that is what it is, that focus that student of DBMS who is interested to know about the database management system. This is what the purpose and all. Next, if we talk about the applications, what is the applications of DBMS, database management system? So nowadays it has a huge applications where we can use database. We can say that it can be used everywhere, or it is used. So if the widely used of the database, we can see nowadays it is in the banking system. In banking system, it is the database which is maintained our records for accounts, for our transactions, and that all is recorded and stored in a database, and that is what managed by the database administrator of the banks and all. So banking system is one of the important things where the database is used, widely used, we can say everywhere. But some of the important is there. Airlines, that is also, they are also collecting the data. They are also collecting the data of seats. They are also collecting the data of the frequent passengers. They are also collecting the data of the airlines, different flights, timing, and all. So these all are collected with the help of these all organizations. If we talk about university, that is what talking about the students data na. So we can say in university we are just collecting the data of student for admission purpose, collecting the data of the student of 12th pass student, for improvement and all, for recruitment purpose they are just collecting the data of the final year and all. So all the data is collected for different purpose in different organizations and different institutes. So this is what some of the application, but it is not a limited, it's a used everywhere nowadays. Data is everything, and that management of database is also important. So database application is many more. Now just come to understand the things. What is the database? So if we take an example of a university database, this is what the university database. What we consider in this database, we must have some data of students. So it is a entity of the students data. That is what, there are some attributes of this. So we can say the attributes of this student database is basically name of the student, number of a student, classes of a student, and department of student. Okay, so this is what we just collecting the data like this in a rows and column, so that it can be sorted out. It can be find something that who is the student that is studying in computer science department, who is the student in class 1, class 2. That is what different things can be find out from this database. So this is a database in a rows and column. Here it is an entity, student is entity, and these are the attributes of this entity, that is what a student here, and this is what entry of the data. So we have to enter the data. It can be goes more and as much as possible, as much as we want. So this is the data enter in the attributes name. All the name of the student comes in this this column. Student number, roll number is come in this column, classes come in this number, and measures that is come in this column. So this is what the examples of a database. Clear? Next, if we talk about the another table, so that table is related. Means if we take another entity like courses means the name of the courses. Suppose introduction to computer science, one of the courses, that is what enter in this entity attributes course name, data structure course, discrete mathematics course, DBMS courses, and these are the under this course name attribute. Next, what should be the number of this course? Some numbers is there for different courses. What should be the credit hours? This is what the credit hours, where it is taught in the department CS and that. So these table is somehow related with this table, with this CS and CS. So this is what how we just study on further, that how their tables or a database or data is related with one another. how the tables are related, means RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, RDBMS. Basically, it is a relational database management system, relational DBMS. So this is one of the example of your university database. Further, we can say if you have a student data, if you have a course data, next we can have the data for same university. There must be some sections as a entity, and attribute as a section identifiers, course numbers, semester, years, and instructors. So section identifiers, we have a different sections is there, course number is there, semesters, years, and some instructors who instruct these sections are there. So this is the sections as an entity, and there are some attributes of this section. Likewise, we have a grade reports of the student. This is what the roll number, which is related with that student tables also. These roll numbers, and that we can find the name of the student, and we have a section identifier from which section these students are related, and what is the grade of these student. This is what in the grade report. Next, we can have a pre-request. So likewise, we have a different tables in a university database system, and these all tables are related. From these all table, anyone, any administrator, any principal and director can find somehow any query from that. So this is what the important. There is a huge amount. It look like a small database. If we talk about a huge amount of database, then we can say it must be some there must be some management of that, so that it can be easy to find query from this database. So this is what we are just collecting the data for some purpose, and there must be some purpose of these. So this is what combinedly we can say. We have a student as attributes in a university, course as an attribute entity, course as an entity, section as an entity, grade report, and prerequisite. These all are the entity, and there are some attributes related to these entity in a university database management system. This is how the database will look like. This is one of the example, and we can take further more example. Excuse me. So data in a database must be organized and managed so that the users can search for a data, retrieve data, modify data as needed. Means what we can do with any of the database. Suppose हमारे पास कोई database है, तो क्या कर सकते हैं? What we can do with this database? We can search, important thing, anything from the database. Like that, as a university database, if you want to search a name or roll number of some student, and what is the percentage, what is the course of this student, we can find. Search is the one of the important things that we can find very easily from these database. Next, retrieve some data. If you want to find some section, student of some sections, so we can just in a single query we can find from this database. This is what the database. If you want to modify something, the student change their courses and something, anything you want to modify or update, we can do in this database. Excuse me. So some data in a database must be organized and managed so that the user can search for the data, retrieve the data, modify the data from that database as their need. So this is what the database from which we can find these types of queries: searching of data, retrieving of data, modifying of data. So these are the importance for any organizations and any institution or anything from where we just store data for any purpose. So that purpose is fulfilled with the help of this database. Now, what is the definition? A database management system is basically a collections of program that enables the user. It is nothing but a collections of program. And what they do, they enables the user to create and maintain the database. It is that program in which we just create the database, we just maintain the database, we just fetch something from the database, create and maintaining this DBMS system. So the database management system is a general purpose software system that facilitate the process of defining, constructing, manipulating and sharing of database among various users and applications. So this is what the database management system, which is basically a general purpose software system for defining, constructing, manipulating and sharing of the data. Clear? So next we can say, if we define a database, it involves specifying the data types and constraint. So the main things is that it is specifying the data types and constraint of the data to be stored in the database. What is the data types and what should be the constraints of that data which is stored in the database. So database is defined as a descriptive informations and is stored by the Dbms in the form of database catalog or directory. So it is called a metadata, from where we can find this data about data. That is what the metadata. So database basically, it is basically a descriptions of that whole data which is stored in the database, and that is what to be managed with the help of database management system. Now things is that how we create a table of student in some database. So there is some commands by which we can create attributes, or we can say create some entity with attributes in a database. So the create table, it's a command. Create table, which table? The table name, that is student. It is the command, and it is the table name which is created with the name, with a varchar, roll number with the numbers, phone number is also a number, unique, and city with a varchar, and primary key as a roll number. So these are the attributes of the entities student which is stored in the table. So this is what the command which create the frame of this student table, in which name which is varchar, roll number which is number, phone number that is uniquely defined, it is not be similar for all, city, this is also a varchar, and a primary key is basically defined by the roll number. It cannot be repeated. Primary key is basically roll number. We can say phone number may also be a primary key, but it may be if two students are brothers, and it may be the phone numbers of his or her parents may be the same. So this is what the different. So that's why roll number is unique. If two brother is also there, their roll number must be different. So this is what how we create a table inside any database. If we want to store some data in this attributes, we can increase the attributes, we can create a different entities tables inside the database. Clear? Next is your constructing. How construct the database? Constructing the database basically is the process of storing the data on some storage medium that is controlled by the Dbms. Where it is stored? It is stored somewhere in a server and somewhere where it is to be stored. जहाँ store करना चाहिए, तो what we do, we just store some storage medium. It may be a some hardware, some servers, and anywhere you want to do. So how we do insert into student? How we insert the data into the that entity, student entity? We can just like student name, we can write roll number, phone number, city, and this is what how the value is entered, and this is what the updated in this table. Record is updated. Manipulating. If you want to manipulate the something from that existing table. So a database include a function such as querying the database to retrieve specific data, updating the database to reflect the change in the mini world, and that generating the reports from that data. So how we do it? We can do it with the help of these commands. So the first command you can say select star from student, means just we are selecting the student entity. Next, select city from the student, means we have to update the city, so we select from this entity student city as an attribute. Next, select star from the student where city equals to this. So it is that which update the city. So update the student set city is equal to Delhi. So this is what the command, with the help of we can manipulating or updating the database. So update student, set phone number is this, where roll number is this. So these are things by which we can update all this. If you want to delete something, we can write the command like delete from student where city equals to Delhi. These are some of the command by which we manipulate the data, we update the data, we delete the data. That is what the manipulating of the database. Clear? We have to remember these commands. Select star from, this is the table name. You have to find which is to be updated, what is to be updated, what is to be deleted. This is what to be considered by yourself. Now sharing a database basically allow to manipulate users and program to access the database simultaneously. Another important function that is provided by the DBMS database management system, that includes protecting the database. If we create a database, then we must have to protect it also. So protecting the database is also one of the important scenario in database management system. So against the hardware or software or malfunctions or some crashes, against unauthorized or malicious access of the data. This is how we maintain the things. So basically, if we talk about the DBMS database, that is DBMS equal to database system. Means database, if we add the management system, it is called a database system, combinedly known as database system. A database system, basically how it's look like, it's like a some user program which is interacted in, interact with a database system. How interact? They just interact with some program, some queries processors. Then these query processors just interact with the DBMS softwares, software to process that query, and that software to access the stored data. And this is what the software user is directly not interacting with the database, but it is what the software that is stored in the stored database. That is what, this is what the metadata means. It's a data about data. We can find that what the data is stored with the help of this software only, DBMS software, and it can also access the database directly. So user is not directly accessing the database. It is what the intermediate DBMS software excuse me, from where this database is accessed. Means if anyone want to access the data, so they must use some application, some software program like a structured query language and all, and that structured query language is interacting with database server or directly database or maybe a metadata where the data is stored, and data about data, knowledge of the data. That is what to be find from this database system. An application program access the database by sending queries to request for data to the DBMS. So a query typically causes a data to be retrieved from the database and data to be manipulating in the database. Queries may be posed through the applications, and we can say the program or the directly to the database. Means if we want to query something, we have to post that through some application program only. We can directly not interact with the database because there is a huge amount of data. If we want to find something from the database, so directly we cannot able to find, manually we cannot able to find the database. It is the programs, it is the some software by which we can query something from the database. So DBMS helps to process the query and retrieve, manipulate the data from the DBMS database management system. So if we talk about the drawback, what is the drawbacks for using the file systems to store data? So database versus traditional file system is basically data redundancy, data integrity, data consistency, program data, and independence data. These are the something which is different from that file system. which make the database management system improve from the file system. Redundancy of data means traditional software development utilize the file processing. Every user group maintain its own files for handling the data process for the same set of data. So considering the college database where the department, the registrar and the accounts and other group of the user will maintain their own data for the same set of students. This is what how data redundancy used. So the redundancy is store the same data multiple times, and that leads to a several problems. Means duplication of the efforts, or we can say storage space is wasted. This is what the different where the file system is lagging out. So duplication of efforts means obviously बात है the department, the registrar, the account all added the same data, and this is what the duplication of data. So it is not in the database system. Storage space is wasted. Obviously, a different they are making a duplication of data. So storage is also wasted in that. So database system control all this redundancy by storing the same at a same data at a single place. So all the user have access to the data. Okay, thanks for today class. We'll see in next lecture from updating the things. Thank you.